Hello everyone, and thank you for coming today. My name is Madison Loudermilt, and today I'm going to be talking with you about how fasting enhances dopamine release and restores the rate of dopamine uptake that has been slowed by a high-fat diet. So to begin, dopamine directs goal-related behaviors and assigns value to natural rewards like food and affection, or pharmacological rewards like drugs and alcohol. Diets high in saturated fat can promote obesity and also dampen dopamine neurotransmission. Using our diet-induced obesity model, we have seen before that high-fat diets change dopamine release and clearance, but we haven't seen any real data looking at animals in a fed versus a fasted state. So, using our obesity model, we looked at the physiological conditions of fed versus fasted states to determine if those states affect dopamine transmission. So, to begin this study, we hypothesized that being in a fasted state would actually enhance dopamine terminal function and controls, but not in animals fed a high fat diet. So, to look at this, we tracked body weight and food intake for 6 weeks in male and female mice being fed either a high-fat or a low-fat diet. At the end of those 6 weeks, voltammetry was ran on those mice in either a fed or a fasted state. So looking at our results over here, to start with figure 1, we're going to look at body weight gain between these two groups. So we have male and female mice here, and we also have them being on either a control diet or a high-fat diet. So what we can see here is that for both male and female mice, the mice fed a high-fat diet gained significantly more weight than the mice on the control diet gained. Moving down to dopamine release, we measured dopamine release in 2 different regions of the brain. We measured it in the nucleus accumbens shell and the nucleus accumbens core. And what we see is that there's no real change observed in the shell. But moving over here to the core, the low-fat and high-fat diet groups showed no real change on dopamine release in the fed state. But when you look at the fasted state in both the control and the high-fat animals, you can see that there was actually an increase of dopamine release in both of those diet groups. And looking over here at the females, we only saw that effect of increased dopamine release in the high-fat fasted group. Moving down to figure 3, looking at synaptic dopamine clearance. Again, no real change was seen in the shell, but looking over here at the core, we can see that animals fed a high-fat diet in a fed state had slowed dopamine reuptake compared to animals fed a controlled diet. But when we look at animals that were in a fasted state in the eating a high-fat diet, we can see that being in that fasted state actually restored dopamine reuptake rates. And this is true for both males and females here. Moving to figure 4, this is showing the voltammetric readings. And these peaks here are just showing you the peak dopamine release that we saw in these animals. So some conclusions that we got from this was, in the nucleus accumbens core, fasting significantly increased dopamine release in males from both control and high-fat groups, but only increased dopamine release in the females from the high-fat group. We also saw that fasting restored the significantly slowed uptake rate in the nucleus accumbens core of high-fat males, and fasting enhanced uptake rates in both control and high-fat females. So overall, this data shows that being in a fasted state enhances dopamine release and reuptake rates in the nucleus accumbens core, but not in the nucleus accumbens shell. So this could promote food seeking and reward learning under a fasted conditions. So During this study, I was helping with a couple of things in the lab. So the main things that I did was help with food and body weight tracking of the mice, and then I also helped with the data collection for this study. So none of this would have been possible without the help of my primary investigator, Dr. Fordall, and our PhD candidate in the lab, Connor Wallace. So I really just thank them for giving me the opportunity to work with them. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to being able to work more in the lab. Thank you.